Hello, and welcome to Let's Talk Clean Air, where we talk about how clean air can affect the quality process for you and the workplace. There's a lot of dust collectors out there on the market today, and many of them are designed differently, specifically when it comes to the configuration of their filter cartridges. Some collectors mount their filters horizontally, while others are configured vertically. Here at Camfill, we prefer vertical filters. But what's the difference between the two designs, and what is it about the vertical design that makes it superior? I'm your host, Jacob Stewart, and here with me today to talk about how vertical and horizontal filters is Camfill APC OEM account specialist Jason Cluxton. How about we start off with you telling us a little bit about yourself and what you do here at Camfill, Jason?
Well, what I do is, like you said, I'm the OEM account specialist. I take care of all of our metal processing OEMs. I've been with Camfill for about 10 years now. Um, Looks like the first 5 years I was in the shop. I was doing paint, fab, assembly. I was in weld, pretty much every process that kind of went through the building process of our dust collectors. And then in 2016, I went to aftermarket. I was in sales for a long time, 5 years, and then I recently got this promotion here to outside sales team.
So before we get started, I think it's important for those who may not know, how does an industrial dust collector filter work in a nutshell?
Well, in most systems, you have a dirty side and you have a clean side of the collector. The filters will be in between those. The air is drawn up through the dirty side of the system to the clean part, which is usually at the top or the back. As the filter starts to build or fill and hold dust, the dust pulsing system will start turning on, sort of blast that dust down, and then try to bring that pressure down in between the dirty side and the clean side. So as that pulses down and moves down into the filters, it'll knock it down into the hopper and kind of clean all that stuff out and get rid of all your dust.
Okay, so can you elaborate a little further on what you mean by the clean side and the dirty side of a collector?
Sure. So your dirty side is going to be primarily where your filters sit. That is where the majority of the dust is going to stay and sit. So it comes from your process into the dirty side. We'll go through the filters and then come out the clean side, which with clean air. So the dust stays behind, the air comes and flows through the top.
Okay, makes sense. So, like I said earlier, Camfill prefers vertical filters to horizontal. So, what are some of the things that make a vertical filter superior to horizontal?
Vertical filters right off the bat have gravity in its favor. They hang like shirts in the closet and they pulse from the top down. This lets the dust go exactly where you want it, which is straight down to the hopper. Horizontal filters are stacked on top of each other, kind of like the drawers in a kitchen. So you have your top drawer, middle drawer, bottom drawer. So when they pulse, they usually start at the top. It'll pulse and the dust that's on those top filters goes down to the next set and then onto the next set. This is called reentrainment. So by the time it gets all the way down, it finally gets down in the hopper. So your pressure really never drops. So you pop your first one, it cleans it off. So your first one might be clean, but now your second one's even dirtier than the first one. Then you move down to the third one after the second one pops. And now that third one has all the dust from the top two filters now onto the last one. And then finally it gets that dust down to the hopper. And you also have something called bridging. I'm not sure if you've heard of that. It's when you have a filter here and a filter here, the dust will start building up on that secondary filter. Even if you pop it, it might just pop up and drop back down, and it'll build and build and build and eventually touch that filter right above it. So once it touches that filter right above it, that's what's called bridging. And that way, you have dust kind of packed in between the two filters. So then you're trying to pop through that and a big stack of dust. It becomes a big mess when you try to do it with horizontal filters, trying to clean those down.
One thing that's very important to those with a dust collector is being able to change out their filters quickly and efficiently, which saves both time and money. So, which of these configurations would you say makes that process easier?
Well, Jacob, from extensive experience in this of changing out not only horizontal filters, but vertical filters are by far easier to change out. You have all the filters right in front of you. You just open the door, boom, they're right there. Pull them straight out, set them down on your platform, move them to the side, and you just kind of go back and forth through that. They slide on rails, and they also have filter removal tools. You can reach out in the back and pull them out. When it comes to horizontal filters, most of them, depending on the size of the collector, are going to be overhead height. And you really just have a platform there and no ladder or anything to get up to it. So you have to go get your own ladder, maybe a scissor lift, genie boom or something to get up to those tops. So when you're getting to the tops, there's these beautiful doors that they have on them. Little tiny round doors that you can barely fit your head and your arm into, that you have to reach back into to try to pull these filters out. One, it's messy. Two, it's hard. And three, you're sitting on a ladder or a genie boom or something trying to pull out these filters. And then you can't just set them down, you got to throw them down. So in my experience of changing out the two, 100% vertical filters are the way to go.
Yeah, that really sounds like it does make things considerably easier going the vertical route. On that same note of saving both time and money, which of these filters would you say typically lasts longer?
So with horizontal filters, they usually are dimple pleated filters, which means they pack as much media as they can into those filters. So what that does is it narrows the pleats, the openings of the pleats. So really, when you pack so many pleats per square inch, you're only able to use about 50% of that media. So let's say you have a dirty horizontal filter and you are changing it out and you were to cut it open. About 50% of that filter is going to be dirty. The other 50% is going to be crystal clean, perfect, no dust on it. But that filter is completely dirty. And so with vertical filters, something that CamFil does is they use something called hemi pleats. It's like a glue bead separator. So it might be a little bit less media, but you have the ability to use 100% of that media. So the glue bead separators open up those pleats and allow you to, one, have better dust release, and two, be able to use 100% of the media that's in that filter. So with the pleats being open, it's able to release all that dust a lot better into the hopper because it's pulsing from the top down, and it'll slide right out of those pleats and right into your hopper.
So, to follow up on that, how long would you say a vertical filter lasts when compared to a horizontal? Would you say they last several weeks longer, several months longer?
That's kind of an interesting question. So yes, the answer to that question is yes. It could be several weeks, could be several months, could be years. It all depends on the dust type and application and whether the collector was sized properly. Biggest thing is the cleaning system is what's going to keep your system clean. You have a good cleaning system, you have good filters in the collector, you're going to have long filter life. It's as simple as that. If you have a filter that you only can use half the media in, then you're only going to get half the life. So let's just use an example of like laser dust. Laser dust is real sticky. It's messy stuff. But if you put a horizontal collector with horizontal specific collector filters in it, easily that thing's going to get 6 months. Our collectors are up into a year, year and a half, 2 years with vertical filters. So, I mean, it really is kind of a case by case basis, but 9 times out of 10, vertical is going to win every time.
Okay, so we've been talking about all the advantages of a vertical filter, and there's a lot. So, why do you think so many companies still use horizontal filters? Are there any advantages at all to having a horizontal filter? And likewise, are there any disadvantages when it comes to having a vertical filter?
I think the biggest thing with horizontal collectors, horizontal filters are, it's how we've always done it mentality, or if it isn't broke, why fix it? But then you get into conversations with people and you actually talk to them. He's like, so how long are your filters lasting? And they're like 3 months, 6 months. And they don't realize that that's a problem. They don't realize that they can get longer filter life, or that 3 months or 6 months is not the normal, is not where it should be. It should be in the range of a year, year and a half is good filter life, solid filter life especially when you're bouncing around between different applications. So I think people use horizontal filters for just like they just always have. Like certain companies have been around forever. So a long time ago they started with this particular company and moved on. And that's just how they've always done it and how it's always been. But once they get, a canful dust collector or a vertical system into their facility, they realize how great it is and how user friendly it is and how the maintenance and care of the collector just completely changes from what they have currently.
So we're coming to the end of our episode, but what are some resources available for people who may want to educate themselves further on the subject?
I mean, the biggest resource you can have is just have a conversation. Have somebody come out and talk to you. Have them come out and take a look at your system, see what's going on with it. If you feel like there's a problem, 9 times out of 10, there's going to be one. Have somebody come out, take a look at your system, take a look at your process, take your dust, have your dust tested. We have all kinds of um, like case studies that you can go through. Really, the biggest thing that you should do is just get one. Get a collector, throw it in there, and I guarantee you it's going to make your life 10 times easier having a vertical as opposed to a horizontal.
All right. Well, thanks for that info, Jason. It really does seem like a vertical filter is the way to go.
Yeah, I mean, they're great. They're easy to use. They're user friendly. The biggest one is they're pretty much maintenance free as long as you keep your PMs up. Keep an eye on your differential pressure on your collector, and just take care of it with basic things. The collector will last forever, number one, and you'll get really good long filter life out of it.